See, people don't actually know this about the Wonka Well, but like there was a little bit in the Wonka Well where we were actually prisoners in it. It's actually a really rough time for us and something I struggle to look back on. But there was a time where we were like chained to a cave. We couldn't move our heads at all. And all we can see is the walls of the cave. And then Timothée Chalamet would come in because he was our prisoner in this case. And he would wave these little Wonka puppets that he stole from me around in front of a big flashlight, and it would project onto the wall, and he would recreate the stories of Wonka to us every day.
He knew I hated puppets too.
For 2 whole days.
2 whole fucking days.
So then after a while, we were like, is this real? Is this real? Are these puppet shadows real? And we were talking about it, and we didn't know the cause of the shadows. We didn't know it was Timothée Chalamet. We just thought these shadows were like little immovable guys who were Wonka. You know what I mean? And then we were, I'm like looking through a Wikipedia page of the cave allegory.
My heart is racing right now.
When we're released, we can turn our heads and see the real objects. And then we realize that our error, and that what we can do is analogous to turning our heads and seeing the causes of the shadows.
Totally.
Prisoners may learn what a book is by their experience with shadow of books. But if they thought the word book refers to anything that they've seen, they'd be mistaken. Okay, so Timothée Chalamet, he gets the shadows, and we are like, this is Wonka. And he's like, no, you fucking idiots. This is Wonka. And he puts in a VHS tape of the real Wonka. That's not actually something that happened. I was just trying to come up with a little metaphor for Plato's allegory of the cave. And I realized I didn't actually know it. And it's actually a lot stupider than I remember it being. So
I just left off with us chained.
Yeah, well, it was actually a metaphor. It's not real. The whole thing is a metaphor.
Fine. Yeah. It just felt real because I'm pretty sure when I've closed my eyes at night to slumber, I sometimes wake up there. So I don't know how that... I know we do the thing where we try to enter each other's dreams to keep playing the podcast because we're just so damn busy and this is all we have that we do that. But yeah, that makes me think. That's a thinker. You know, that's the study of the thinkings and the world. What do you call that subject? It's the thinker, and you're sitting on the toilet with your head, your fist in your head, and you're like, oh man, I'm thinking about all the ways the world works.
Welcome to Wonka Watch.
Lord.
You might think, why are we talking about philosophy?
Did you even know we were talking about philosophy, actually? Which is such a great way to do a philosophy thing by not... It's like, if you don't get it, then you are human. What? No, what?
This episode actually comes from a listener email. So a little while ago, listener of the podcast, Ethan, recommended that we check out this book titled Roald Dahl and Philosophy. So this is like an academic text from like lots of different scholarly people in general writing about Wonka. And this book, we're probably going to split this up into 2 parts because there is a lot of essays in this book. And some of these essays I genuinely really enjoyed. There is a fantastic takedown about all of the imperialist and colonialist implications of the Oompa Loompas. It's one of the best written essays I've ever read. However, I want to give that essay the applause and appraise it deserves. And I just want to make fun of some old men today. And that's what we're going to do for this part of the episode. So eventually one day, I don't know when it will come out, but we will cover more essays in this collection because there are some actually good ones that I do enjoy a lot. But today, I want to make fun of the super pretentious ones because these are fucking insane. It's such a wild collection. But yeah, thank you to our listener, Ethan, for recommending this. And I'm very excited to talk about it. I think it's going to be really fun. So yeah, but before we really get into this episode proper, it's time to do our little bit of Wonka Watch.
2, 4, 6, 8, Wonk.
Nice. So Wonka Watch is a segment on this podcast where we talk about what's new in the world of Wonka. One thing real quick. The Mr. Beast video is out, which is shocking to me because I thought we weren't going to see that for like 3 more months, which does leave me to be...
Because of the set, you would hope,
leaves me to be concerned. So I've had to... We plan out our episode topics up until like August, and we have a few immovable objects upcoming soon for our birthday episodes, which are going to be fucking insane. I think we're going to tackle Mr. Beast Wonka in between those because we need to talk about it. I've seen nothing about it. I'm not going to watch anything until we get there. I did hover over the YouTube thumbnail and it plays you a few second clip. And I saw Mentos and Mr. Beast. You are going to unleash a rage within us.
Oh, boy.
I think they were on some sort of rooftop throwing Mentos into a giant Coke bottle. And I'm sorry, Mr. Beast. It does not look good for you. It doesn't look good for you.
It's not blow. Oh,
now that I know that we're not involved at all, I have no issues. Absolutely ripping you to fucking shreds.
Hey, Paul King, just know this is a tester for what happens if Wonka sucks.
If Wonka sucks, this is the wrath you'll be facing.
This is just a morsel of the pound
Unless you
cake
give us
we'll
tickets
bring.
to the premiere, and then we will be a little bit nicer about it.
We might even send you a thank you basket.
Do you like... What is that called when they... What is it called when they cut up the little fruits?
Unedible arrangements.
Do you like an edible arrangement, Paul King? But I like how the way you said it, it almost said unedible arrangement. If you disappoint us, you won't be getting an edible arrangement. You'll be getting an unedible arrangement.
A bunch of styrofoam peanuts dipped in lead paint on toothpicks.
You think you can eat them, but you can't.
LOL,
so
Paul King.
sad, Paul King.
I'm sorry, did you invite everyone over for brunch for your edible arrangement only to realize it is so inedible and very dangerous? Get the babies out of the room. That's embarrassing for you. Okay, so Mr. Beast, we're coming for you. What is happening though? What's in the world?
So the bigger deal is, Elaine and I, we've had a fucking journey with this Wonka creamer. This creamer, we talked about this in like February, and we've been looking everywhere. So my friend Jill, who is my friend and also a genuine listener of the podcast, has decided to step in. Because what did she find on her trip to Giant but a container of the Fudge Mallow Delight creamer? So guys, we have a little bit of a Wonka field correspondent, because I said, you need to immediately send me this video of you trying it. So she has tried it with and without coffee, and I will be sending Elaine the video, and I will be inputting her report right here.
Oh, God bless.
The Willy Wonka creamer. I have a little glass of it. It smells kind of like caramel, I guess. Holy heck, that's sweet. But good. I think there's like a coconut taste to it. First thing I got was coconut, but like now I'm getting the caramel and like chocolate, but it's like really creamy.
So Jill's verdict is very creamy, very sweet, shocking coconut note, which was shocking to me. I did not expect a coconut note.
Damn.
And makes me excited / nervous because I don't really like coconut. It's going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. I do think half of that review was Jill's that they've never drunk straight creamer before, because it was a little bit.
Which is a fair thing.
Your mother didn't put chocolate mudslide in a little tiny glass when you wanted a big treat as a kid. That's wild for you.
I feel like this was one of the honestly first big Wonka Watch things that was outside of like the movie that was like tangible for us, was this International Delight Fudge Dippy Dippy Doodah. I've never been able to say it correctly. Creamer. And I have been going to grocery stores also. I don't know what a Giant is, but it sounds
Martin's. It's Martin's.
See, I don't know what a Martin's is.
What the fuck do you have in South Carolina?
We have Harris Teeter. We got Publix. We call it the Ocean. I don't know if you've heard of it. Great seafood.
One day we'll try this fucking creamer.
God, we got it.
It's like a tantalizing little secret.
Why can't we order it online?
We probably could.
I'm sorry. It's called International Delight. Am I wrong? International. How about fucking few states away? I'm within the same time zone.
How come I can't be delighted?
International. Sorry. internationaldelight@gmail.com. Subject line.
International@delight.com. I have questions.
Why can't I be delighted?
You lied. You said it was an international delight. Turns out it's only in Giants in southeastern Pennsylvania delight. More
Jokes on you, International Delight. We have connections now. Our friend Mark Wonka knows the system, and he will come after you, and we will get this creamer. So help you God.
Watch your days. Southeastern Pennsylvania delight.
Okay, anyway, that's really exciting. I'm really glad that we had someone try it, though. Jill is hilarious because the first intro I had to Jill was a few audio messages, and Jill goes, "Oh, and Elaine, hi. I guess this is the first time I'm meeting you. I really like this podcast. I like you, but fuck you."
Yes. All right. Let's get into this episode proper. So
this episode's like Baskin Robbins. We've had 34 flavors so far. Yeah. That's the wrong number, but like it's proceed. Yes.
This collection was edited by one Mr. Jacob M. Held, who previously also did a collection about basically it's like connecting philosophical ideas to the works of Roald Dahl. So I did not go through every essay in this collection because a lot of them didn't really touch on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I would say a good half in this book were on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This was like, I read like 150 pages for this, okay? I read like 150 pages of like academic article.
Damn, girl.
and was fueled with rage every time I kept going until I got to the Oompa Loompa one and the book redeemed itself. I will say Mr. Held, who edited this book, is definitely a Dahl apologist. A Dahlologist, apologist.
Part of the Dahlogy.
So, like, it is interesting. He thankfully did later include some more critical views of Dahl because, like, I want people to understand. I think we make this clear, but like we don't like Roald Dahl on this podcast. We don't really like him. We think he kind of sucks. Like, it kind of exclusively sucks.
What happened in Africa?
Yeah, there's so many.
No one will talk about
concerning things about Roald Dahl. Truly, but the other one he published a book on was Dr. Seuss, and it's like, okay, all right. This is an interesting choice of two figures.
Yeah, interesting.
So let's talk about the first essay in this. This was his introduction, Roald Dahl and Absurdity. It's actually interesting. Mr. Held was my least favorite essayist in this collection. I'm sorry to this man, but dude, calm down, is mine.
WonkaRapture@gmail.com. Come at
He would
us.
love the rapture, honestly, from what I'm reading. So here was the first quote. God, I forgot how insane this was. Jesus Christ. Here was the first quote from this book. It may seem odd, if not downright perverse, to open a book on Roald Dahl with a quote about suicide. That's how this book starts. So, it's been a while since I wrote these notes. I wrote this like 3 weeks ago. Oh my God.
I can't be sweating this early.
I don't know.
I can't already be sweating.
So basically what Mr. Jacob is saying, he's saying Dahl books begin in tragedy and the characters search for their own value in life, which, like, cool. You know,
okay,
that's fair. And Dahl embraces the inherent absurdity of life and echoes Albert Camus' quote, "Everything considered, a determined soul will always manage," which, like, fair enough. Still didn't need to open it with a quote about suicide, but here we go. This is a quote from Jacob as well, which Jacob has a. I'm sorry, do you mind if I call you Jacob?
I was like, oh, this is personal.
Mr. Held Held says, this I take issue with. When you can't change the world, don't let it corrupt you and don't relent. Continue onward. A determined soul will always manage. In this way, Dahl doesn't lie to children like so many fantasy tales. So much of children's literature ends up cheerfully. What a letdown life must be for children who buy into this lie. How incapable these children must be of becoming adults who can handle the real world of failure and misery. And I wrote, okay, Jacob, Jesus. Like,
is Jacob suggesting that if you enjoy, like,
a nice
fantasy
novels,
or
you are a delusion?
Fiction.
You have a delusion.
What the fuck? He would have loved Pretty Little Liars. He would have been like, oh my God, 10 more seasons.
Dahl's work is profoundly philosophical and promotes a philosophical disposition in the reader. That's definitely what it's done for me, Mr. Held. I concur. So this is his editing stance as an editor. God, I'm sorry. Mr. Held felt like my enemy as I read this. I have come to appreciate the brilliance of good children's authors, as well as truly dislike bad children's literature, even so far as to despise it as harmful insofar as it promotes flawed ideals and false hope and creates a generation of delusional, spoiled children incapable of coping with life as they will experience it. Dahl presents a fantasy world strikingly similar to their own, a chaotic world of meaningless suffering. So
I think Jacob is the kind of guy who thinks that more people are anxious now because nobody was anxious before.
Yes,
like
I agree with that. It seems a little bit like he would
kill the Applebees, and then we made everyone infectious with anxiety.
Yes.
And it's not that other people had it, and we finally learned about it.
Yeah, and it is interesting that he's like harmful insofar as it promotes flawed ideals. But, you know, the deep colonialism and racism and fat phobia in Roald Dahl's work is like totally cool and fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
This is
totally fine for
cool.
us to.
No. He's better than all those other silly authors. Haha. So that's kind of the editing stance, and thankfully he does include some like alternative opinions later, which I agreed with way more. But we're not touching on them in this episode because I want to like spend time with them because they're actually really good essays. But this episode,
it's gonna be a cute tea party. This is a roast.
Jacob M. Held, answer for your crimes.
Grind that up and put it on your pork chop because we're having a barbecue tonight.
All right, so that was just the intro. Now we're moving on to our first essay.
That was like 3 sentences in. Oh yeah. God, I'm already.
So this is our first essay by Benjamin A. Ryder called Epicurus and the Chocolate Factory. This chapter seeks to define why Charlie wins as opposed to the other children and what makes him himself, which is a genuine question that I have asked myself so many times. Here's a little bit of background on Epicurus, who was an old-timey Greek and Roman philosopher. He's like, we pursue pleasure and avoid pain, but people get confused about it because life is complicated. And he's like, pleasant things aren't death-defying thrills. It's like mindfulness medication and skincare and not having a stomach ache. So I was like, you know what? I can get behind that. That's pretty reasonable. So this essay started out like actually very normal and like totally cool and stuff I agreed with. So, you know, he's saying in this dude's mind, Ryder says Charlie enjoys things more because he doesn't have things in excess. So he treasures the chocolate bar and is present in the moment, whereas the other kids represent unnecessary and abject desires, things that are unneeded and valued over actual benefit. So like, you know, that's actually fair. Like that's a fair point.
Yeah.
This is where it starts to get a little wild. He says here, their hobbies became obsessions, indulgence became entitlements, and before long, their empty and unnatural desires took over their lives. And I wrote, is this us with Wonka? And then I kept reading. I said,
Oh.
So here it is. Charlie just enjoys the experience as he is there rather than desiring for more. And I don't think this theory is bad, but Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is one you can look for from other angles, and it very much also sends the message that like any child who acts out against an authority figure deserves punishment, which is why I really don't like the book. That's kind of my issue with
Oh my God,
Wonka.
he would hate Annie.
He would hate Annie.
Annie, that little orphan bitch.
Wonka is the Miss Hannigan. Wonka is Miss Hannigan.
Oh no. Oh.
So here's where this essay goes fucking crazy. So in each version, Wonka is a strange, inhuman figure, more of a force of nature than a person. One might be tempted to read Wonka as a mystical god who metes out justice to humans in his realm, punishing the wicked and rewarding the good. We got a lot of Dante's Inferno references here. Ryder says that Wonka is surprised as anyone when the children get messed up. And then I said, but what if he is a liar? So here's what I'm thinking. Evidence for him not knowing and being like surprised that the children got messed up is his lament in the Glass Elevator novel, where he's like, why can't people be normal and cool and chill? But additionally, Wonka is known to be untrustworthy, even to our main character, Charlie Bucket. There's a lot of questions. I don't think Wonka is like, let me just sit back and see what happens. I believe the best in everyone. No.
I think you're a chump if you think otherwise.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So he argues that Wonka is absorbed into the joy of the factory, almost being in another realm, which is close to the Epicurean role of a god. Epicurean gods don't care about humans, and they're just kind of there. And here we go. Charlie may have gotten the golden ticket and saved his family from starvation, but the keys to happiness were already within him. So this one actually wasn't as bad as I remembered it being. There was a lot of talk about Wonka being a godlike figure, which actually happened a lot in this book.
I see the angle. I mean, we discussed how he's like all powerful. Like, I see the beginning of that.
Yes. I understand the first part of this. I was like, oh, I understand his point now. This makes sense. And then as it went on, I was like, okay. But, you know, it's a philosophy textbook. I feel like for this one was actually okay. In the scheme of how these get later, this one was fine.
Oh.
This is the essay that was my anger-inducing one, which was written by Mr. Held.
Okay, let me put on my weighted blanket. Let me just prepare for wrath.
Yeah.
Okay.
On getting our just desserts, Willy Wonka, Immanuel Kant, and the Summum Bonum.
Just desserts. Fuck that. Okay.
So Mr. Held really seems to enjoy the punitive aspect of the novel. In a way that's interesting. He posits that this book represents our desire for justice, but also for punishment. And he says, in fact, we delight in their punishments, perhaps too much. We are, after all, enjoying the thought of children being brutalized in an eccentric factory because they are gluttonous, spoiled, obnoxious, or otherwise misbehaving. Jacob, who is we? Jacob, who is we?
Okay, to be fair, Felicia.
Yes.
You have heard me on this podcast.
Yeah, but we don't, that's not why we like Wonka.
But that's not why we like, no, okay, I don't go like, oh yeah, children get like,
you know what was my favorite part of the novel? When Augustus got sucked up the Gloop tube. No, we don't.
No, that's so true.
Also, why are we calling it the Gloop tube? That's not what it's called.
Okay, can we go in we? Why are we? Yeah. Okay, we just come out a we. I'm going to call it that we. I don't know what we was talking about, the Gloop tube. I feel like that was a you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a little. I don't like the energy we've got.
No, the energy of this essay is rancid.
Their aura, not good.
Yeah. So Held says the book represents the recognition that the world isn't fair, paired with the desire to make it so, and the hope that is someday will be. What? The hope that the good will prosper and that the wicked will be punished. And I said, okay. But Augustus is not a serial killer. He just likes chocolate.
He just likes chocolate. And he's a kid. He's a minor.
He is a
what
child
the hell?
who likes chocolate. Mr. Held tries to argue that the reason that we like Charlie is that he values morality above all else. And then I wrote here, no, Jacob, he values chocolate.
He values chocolate and not starving. I feel like
yes, because I understand his point, but we're not talking about Tom and Jerry Wonka where that is a valid take. And I did have issue because he was kind of cherry picking his points from the 1971 movie. And this thing is about Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl did not write about Slughorn and the donations of the thing. There was a lot of cherry picking going on in this essay of like when it used him, use the 1971, and when it pleased him, use the original novel. And it's like, no, I want your argument about, you're even talking about the book or you're talking about the movie. So if you're talking about the movie, that morality thing, that's not Charlie because his evidence for that was him returning Gobstopper. That doesn't happen in the book.
Nope.
I thought it was interesting. It was interesting because I was more well read about Wonka than any of the people writing in this book, except for maybe the guy who talked about the Oompa Loompas.
That's genuinely so empowering, and I love that.
It feels good. Because I said, that's incorrect. Multiple times throughout this text.
At that point, it's like the argument could be how has culture throughout time taking the doll stuff and changing it, but it sounds like that is not what is happening here. It's just like,
to explore philosophical themes, so it's not like an actual like thing, but like do your fucking research.
We're two weirdos who have a podcast. We should not know more than actually we can. We have a right to know more. Yeah. We've earned that.
There's a lot of stuff in here about Immanuel Kant's value of punishment and concept of free wills. Wonka's created a world of pure imagination, a world where we're given a glimpse into the Summum Bonum. I have no clue what the fuck that is.
Summum Bonum.
Where people are given happiness according to their goodness and are punished in proportion to their wickedness. So he argues that we enjoy Augustus being punished because he lacks self-respect and has no control because he has a large appetite. Gross. And I did not feel that way. I did not enjoy seeing Augustus being punished. The only issue I take with Augustus was because of the health violations. That's my only issue with Augustus. I think it's not bad to eat some candy. Do I think putting your hand in the chocolate river? Yeah, that's a health violation. In my opinion, that did bother me. But that's not on his character. You know what I mean? That was unclear to him. So I did not feel this way. And I think that Mr. Held enjoyed it a little too much and was kind of projecting a little bit.
A little bit. It's interesting to see how, like, what does this really tell us about you? Like, we're talking about
like, this is the correct way to view.
We all feel this way, guys, right? Like, I'm just saying what we're all thinking, right? It's
and we're like,
no. No.
So here's a terrible quote. He's an affront to human dignity itself. Not because he is overweight, but because he lacks self-control. And I think an editor definitely made him add that caveat.
Most likely, I can see that.
So, Violet Beauregard, I have never seen someone feel this strong about chewing gum.
Oh, so this is personal.
Yeah, this got fucking personal. Violet Beauregard, he argues, is disgusting and lacking in manners because of her incessant gum chewing. He says, it makes a mockery of eating itself. Which is a take I've never heard about gum chewing.
Chewing gum is a mockery of eating itself. What does that even mean?
Her gum chewing borders on obscene, a perverse distortion of a natural life function, and it's obnoxious, as someone who's ever been around an incessant gum chewer can attest. And I'm like, this is Wonka. Like, this is the guy who would make these fucking weird torture machines for these kids. Like, what are you talking about? And I was reading this. I'm like, do people hate gum in a way that I've never known? Is this like a thing? Like, do people hate gum this much and I'm just not aware of it?
I think the thing, if you're going to have a pet peeve, gum is going to be an intense one if it is. Like, you know how, like, you can be annoyed by traffic, you can be annoyed by this, but it's like, maybe traffic builds up or another pet peeve builds up. But I feel like if your pet peeve has decided not, whatever, it is chewing gum. I think for those people, it is a level. You instantly go to level 10. So the only thing I can think of is that this is level 10.
Yeah, he says the constant visual and oral assault of a gum chewer is poor etiquette, and it fails to account for the comfort of those who are subjected to it.
I mean, I will say, if you're annoyingly chewing gum next to me, it will ruin my life.
Yeah, but like most people who chew gum regularly aren't annoying about it.
Exactly. Yeah, like it's not usually.
I wrote, who hurt you while chewing gum?
Oh, yeah, exactly, actually.
Yeah, it feels very personal. So he argues that Violet has a lack of self-control with eating the experimental gum, which is like fair. That's a fair point, but stop making it fucking weird. Her disgusting habit smacks of a total lack of respect for others in public situations. She doesn't simply lack self-control, she's self-centered to the point that she disregards others. And I wrote here, I'm baffled. Do people actually feel this way about gum and just haven't been telling me? It seems like Jacob wants these people arrested for public indecency. Like, you would think these people were committing crimes the way he writes about them.
Yeah, God. Like, you would forget you're reading, like, I just like this is about Willy Wonka.
This is about, like let's take a step back. This is about chewing gum and Willy Wonka. And he says Wonka's a good moral influence. He says Mike lacks respect for himself by only watching TV. Okay, sure, whatever, who cares? Veruca Salt is greedy and sees others means to an end. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Kantian morals, I learned throughout this essay, are like the ways we behave ourselves in public, being an upstanding citizen, and like the Southern grandmother judgy meaning of that way. Of like, why would you say that to him? So he says that as a way that they leave the factory can function as a way to stop. And the Violet hate returns. Violet leaves the factory purple, and now she'll see her moral failing as much as others saw and heard it as she chomped her gum. Perhaps this constant reminder will cause her to behave more appropriately. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think like I've always heard you and I've always agreed that the punishment in the book for her chewing gum turning into a big blueberry and in some versions like exploding is very extreme. But to hear like
someone who's like, actually, I think she should have died.
Yeah, like, what? I'm like, I just don't. I sometimes think we overthink. I'm not here to like bash philosophy. I find it incredibly interesting. And I think critiquing is good. I just think that this is a case of, I think you've stretched too far. You can connect any two dots, together, but that doesn't mean they should be. Because that's why you cross your T's and dot your I's.
Yeah.
Does that sound smart? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little hungover and I don't know what I just said.
Yeah.
Philosophy.
But yeah, his whole point was that Charlie lacks these moral failings and represents good human dignity, which like, okay. I don't know. I was really exhausted by this essay. It was way too long.
I think, sorry. I think I'm just like still hung up on like the whole, like, I don't even know.
The advocation of medieval torture methods.
Yes, yeah, basically. It's like, well, if you're going to do it this way. I'm like, but it's children's literature, first off. So I don't know what the fuck you're on. Okay, sorry.
It's so weird.
I can't.
But, right?
Like,
it's like, I can't even make like good critique of it because I'm like, have you read what you wrote?
Have you read what you wrote?
This doesn't make you seem like a cool dude. And now my favorite title of the book. Who is this crazy man? Willy Wonka's Uneasy Predicament by Cobb. This one I enjoyed because the quotes in it are so fucking crazy. And I think it's amazing.
Cobb. Cam on the Cobb. Should be Cam Cobb's drag queen name.
Yes. How does Willy Wonka come to be seen as a crazy man throughout Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? To explore this question, I delve into two different aspects of how Wonka is perceived. Two key dimensions of his perceived madness will be examined. His hubris and his appearance/behavior. I just enjoyed that. This feels like it could be an episode of ours.
It really actually does.
I actually really enjoyed a lot of what this episode was talking about. It's not like my all-time favorite, but this one was one that it started to turn around on me. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't all terrible. Cobb says, like, Wonka can't just make a decent stick of gum. He needs to make the best stick of gum that literally changes the way the world functions. And he says, his hubris is linked to the love of the factory. And here's a quote. According to Plato, passionate love leads people to a type of madness in which a lover admits he is sick rather than in his right mind. He knows he is deranged, but is incapable of self-control. Fascinating. Here's my favorite quote from this entire book. Yet, like the Greek hero Icarus, who dared fly too close to the sun with his waxen wings, Willy Wonka has great hubris. And if Wonka could be seen as the Icarus of the modern times, it would be important to ask, does he want to achieve too much? Does he desire the impossible? Which I feel like is a quote you could have pulled from our podcast, unfortunately.
This is a little, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, I wrote here in my notes from 3 weeks ago, honestly, I'm feeling a lot better about our podcast because this book is as out there as some of our stuff is. I feel like a little bit more normal. Like, I feel like if he was like, and much like the chocolate chef Amari Guichon when he rode on Adam Driver's the Centaur's beautiful horse and legs, Willy Wonka is a machine. It's like, what? The author posits that Wonka's thoughtlessness and casualness in the face of the factory tragedies is an act of deception, as he's clearly aware that the parents are distraught, but he implies that the children aren't worth worrying about through his casualness. He's like, well, they fucking suck, so stop whining your little stupid asses about it. Which, yeah, I mean, astute observation. The chapter also talks about Wonka brushing off Mike TV by telling him to stop arguing, and then by maybe pretending that Mike is mumbling and that he's deaf in his left ear. Here's another great quote. But is Willy Wonka truly deaf in his left ear? And was Mike TV really mumbling all those times? Perhaps in those instances, Wonka was overcome by his imagination. Perhaps he was hallucinating.
Are we in yoga class? Because I feel like we're doing a lot of stretches.
Yes.
My hammies are still tight, so it's not working.
And then, it's a little bit of a stretch. But Cobb then says he posits that Wonka will be pretending not to hear the kid, which implies to those around him that nothing Mike TV is saying is worth hearing.
I mean,
yes.
Correct.
Those are most of the essays from the collection I wanted to talk about today. There are 2 more essays in the collection that I genuinely enjoyed, and I want to save them for a day where Elaine is not brutally hungover and I'm not emotionally constipated.
Will there ever be a day like that, though? Who's to say?
I want to give the amazing takedown of all the imperialist issues in Willy Wonka like the time it deserves and spend like a whole episode talking about it because I think it's super important. And I don't want it buried among this pile of shit we had to dig through. Do you know what I mean?
No, of course. No. It needs to be its own beautiful, gorgeous episode, which it shall be. I feel like we've been given a lot on our plate at the buffet to digest.
But it's all cucumbers.
It's just all cucumbers, though. And
There's
I'm like, no tuna salad. I just want
calories. No calories. Fan cast these essays as items on the salad bar.
And if you call any of these people Ruby Tuesday's croutons, I will come for you. Those are the best.
You
Do
know,
not assign
we could
any
talk
of these.
about what our own philosophy is, but I'm much more intrigued to know if you were an item on the salad bar, Elaine, what would you be?
Yeah. Okay. Where is the salad bar?
This is a better term of our time. I don't know. I don't go near salad bars because they scare me.
Oh, that's totally fair.
I just look at them and go, ugh.
I'm going to base this off of the Ruby Tuesday salad bar, which in my opinion is one of the best salad bars out there. And I'll tell you why. Because your homegirl loved cottage cheese and ranch as a kid. Okay. So when I got salads at the salad bar, it was like $5 to get the extra plate. And we would go into Ruby Tuesdays. We'd sit down, we'd get the salad bar. They'd give us the plates and we'd all stand up as a family union. Down the aisle we went back to the salad bar. So I would get lettuce, but mostly cover it in cheese and ranch and those beloved croutons. So if I was something in the Ruby Tuesdays, well, see, I want to say I'm a crouton because they have the best croutons, but like, I feel like that's going to be lame now because I was just like, oh, they're great. I think I'm great. Maybe I'm allowed to think I'm great. Oh, God.
You can think you're great.
I think
Engage
I'm a real
in self-love on this podcast.
Oh, my God.
Be kind to yourself. Would
It's
you
funny.
tell a child that they weren't a Ruby Tuesdays crouton?
I'd tell them that they don't know the harsh realities of the world, and so I'd give them a swirly in the cottage cheese. But I...
All right, Mr. Jacob M. Held.
No, I am a Ruby Tuesdays crouton. Thank you, therapy.
What am I? What am I on the salad bar?
Oh, my God. Okay, you
Dried
are
Parmesan.
the weird... I was about to say you're the weird, fun, crispy things that you're not sure if it's like a crispy onion. Is it like a sesame seed thing? You know what I mean?
That is accurate.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, yeah. Where it's
like
like just a weird little stick and you're like, what the fuck is that? Is that bird food?
Which what I've just gathered is at the salad bar, we're the two things that they're not required for the salad. You don't need us.
There's
you
a
can
little
have
bit
a
of extra
damn
spice.
They add a little something. We add the crunch to your soft lettuce.
Add the crunch to your Wonka lunch.
We make you go, oh, did my cavity just burn? I don't have a cavity, so I don't know what happens when they burn. Did my filling just pop out? There we go. Did
I just chip a tooth?
Did I accidentally
I like
eat
how
my
you
keys?
You're like a comforting, nice crouton, and I'm that one who is weirdly unsettling that you don't understand what it is.
But you know what, Felicia? They still choose you.
I'm an enigma. You know what I really want?
I'm an enigma.
Do you know those little pieces of styrofoam? They're not styrofoam, but they're like, if styrofoam was a food, they'd be that. And they taste like shrimp, but they bring them out of the Chinese food restaurants, and they're like green.
I followed you for half of that.
So
pork rinds is all I'm thinking of.
No, they're not pork rinds,
but they have that energy.
I think they're called prawn crackers, but I called them the styrofoam chips as I grew up as a kid.
I don't know if I've really encountered those often, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Fucking good. I love shrimp.
She's an enigma and she loves shrimp, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I love 3 things in this world. Number 1, Daniel Radcliffe. Number 2, puppets. Number 3, shrimp. Number 4, Cousin Greg from Succession.
And today we're going to combine all of them in next week's episode of Wonka Watch.
It's just an image of a Cousin Greg puppet.
Shrimpy Radcliffe, the Muppet.
What? Chimpy Rad? What is Shrimpy?
Shrimpy Radcliffe, played by Cousin Greg.
Shrimpy Radcliffe is my drag name, actually. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Shrimpy Radcliffe.
I'm an enigma. I'm an enigma.
What was that? Was that trying to do the laugh that happens during the commercial break?
No, you have an adorable laugh, and I'm not gonna lie. My toxic trait is that every time I make a friend and I'm really good friends, I'm like, I must learn how to impersonate you completely and totally. God. If the time is ever needed to hear this.
I need to hear what you have.
No, but I haven't cracked. So I can't figure out your laugh because it's so adorable, and I'm like this, like ha, I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
So you. I can't. I refuse. You can't make me. You can't make me.
I feel like you're on the receiving end of what I feel like on this podcast sometimes, where you force me to do.
I've never made you do an Elaine.
I'll do an Elaine.
Oh, fine. Okay. Hey guys, it's me, Felicia. And today we're going to do something crazy. I was listening to my Spotify playlist called Spoons, Knives, and Jelly, which is just tracks of what spoons and knives would sound like if they were dropped in a pool of jelly. It's art. Okay, so let me check out my notes here. Let me check. The man was over there and he was doing exactly what he needed to do. And I read that one. Hold on. The man wrote his what? All the virgins came together at once. That's my Felicia so far.
Okay. If I had to do an Elaine. Hey guys, I don't know. It's been a week. Yeah, just so many things have been happening. I mean, my dog exists, and that fills me with a lot of emotions, and I feel a lot of things about that. That's actually something I said to my therapist last week. Is that, but if you find Nutella, I'm on it like a motherfucker. I'm on it like a dog on some cheese. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just
no, but that's you don't even know what you're doing or what you're saying. It hurts because it's true.
I was like, it needs to escalate really intense, really fast. Okay, Batman. Do your Batman impression.
You do the Riddler. I'll do the Batman. You start.
I had it all figured out. I thought I knew what was going on, Batman.
Well, tough titties there, boy.
Oh, Batman, you're so strong and muscly.
Oh, wow. It's so weird because I've always had questions about you, Riddler.
Questions? Those are my favorite punctuation.
Well, it looks like we might need to find the answer. Bats. What happened? What happened the past few minutes?
It was good. I mean, it was...
Oh, I loved it. I feel like we learned a lot more about each other. Also, I've been like doodling and I wrote down the anxiety in all caps and then it started making I did not realize I was doing that. Like, I think I was trying to write a note. You were definitely saying something and I wanted to write a note and I was like, oh, I want to, because sometimes I forget what I'm going to say. So I was like, oh yeah, let me jot down. So I think I wrote and then something else happened and then I was writing an A and an N and then my brain was like, well, the only other thing I can write after this A and N is anxiety. And then I just started, and it's a red pen. And then I just started aggressively drawing many lines crossing over each other.
That looks like something used in court evidence.
I've damned myself so badly. Oh no, this is insane.
No. I do stuff like that all the time. And you look back at your notes and you're like, I've written out the entire lyrics to a My Chemical Romance song and then drew a bunch of sad faces. And I'm in a good mood. What happened?
Your subconscious is your doodles. Is the next. That's our philosophy book coming out. I think we could write our own essay and we should call it the Wonka Well.
On my note sheet next to me, I have a list of all the different Wonka characters I was looking at, and then I got my blood test results, so it just says iron deficiency. It says Christian, Mark, Timmy, Johnny, Puppet Wonka, who's like the scare, and then iron deficiency.
Iron deficiency.
Low creatine.
Low creatine is the scariest Batman villain, if you ask me.
Low creatine?
Low creatine.
Batman, I don't know if you've ever seen me. I'm low creatine. I'm what happens when you lose muscle mass.
Oh dear! In this version of the Batman universe, I'm a scrawny
old little squirrel man.
I am a bat. Oh, but I was raised by squirrels, so we are.
And like DC, if I know you want us to write a run of Batman so fucking bad.
I know you're
and,
like
this is the fucking energy we would bring.
You just like fainted out of like pure shock and awe of that.
What if there's a Batman villain who like his whole thing is that he just like he's always holding a toaster.
Like, hold the fuck up, though.
But it's like a really heavy one. So he can throw it and he like whips it around from the corner.
The amount of like...
I said that as a joke and now I'm like, actually, I want that.
Actually,
from the sick and twisted mind of Felicia Mays comes Toaster Man. And it makes like a big like yo-yo
about
noise
to
when he
burn
whips
you
it
to
around.
a crisp.
Care for a toast?
You've got the Batman tied up. Well, Batman, I think it's I'd like to make a toast to you. Oh, you just hit the eject button and like razor sharp burnt bread shoots out and cuts people.
Yeah. He's like, Batman, don't you want to know my secret plan? And then a toaster dings and like a detailed diagram is printed on the toaster. Don't you understand, Batman?
Oh, Sleeping Beauty crossover. Batman is given a fork and he can't resist not walking towards the toaster man to put the fork in the toaster. And he's like, I need to stop myself. And Robin's like, oh no, don't do it. And Toaster Man's like, come here.
And Robin in this version is an actual Robin. So it's like the Disney princess with her fairy tales.
I'm a Robin.
And then who wakes him up from his slumber? The penguin.
The penguin. Hey.
So I think this tells you how we felt about the topics in this episode because we literally refused to talk about them and just started inventing a Batman universe.
Unnecessary, but loved.
Yeah, it was fun for us. So that's how we feel about Roald Dahl and philosophy, at least those essays. The other essays are great, and I'm actually excited to talk about them, but this was
I think this brought me back. It's been so long since I've read any kind of like even literary criticism of this caliber kind of thing. So it was fun to dabble back into that side, and then for me to be like, am I allowed to be rolling my eyes on this? Because I feel like I want to roll my eyes on this.
Yeah, I do remember there's a moment that has been blazoned in my memory when I was in a children's literature course in college, and we were talking about the Grimm's fairy tales, and my professor, who was a great professor, she was like the best person at like handling discussion-based classes that I'd ever had. I actually participated in hers to the point where like me and my friend were in it, sitting at the front of the class, and we were basically hosting a personal podcast for that class. But I remember her when we talked about Grimm fairy tales going, the frog represents a penis. And I think about it all the time. My other favorite part of that class was when she was Googling Captain Hook to show some of like the film adaptations that happened. And all of us saw not in like a recent history, but like a suggested search was Captain Hook X Reader from like Once Upon a Time. And we were all crying laughing. And she's like, what happened? Why won't you tell me what happened? And we're like, you don't need to know. You don't need to know. You don't need to worry your brilliant little mind about it. You don't need us to tell you. I can like picture it on the skull. Like I remember the exact moment. It's like emblazoned in my brain.
That's amazing.
It was so special.
That's amazing. Wow.
It's beautiful.
What a lovely discussion. A lovely discussion as always.
All right.
Well,
So what fucking predictions shall we make?
Oh dear.
I was going to make one about a toaster, but I think I already said he makes a Rube Goldberg machine for breakfast. So I don't think I can do that because that does involve a toaster.
Yes. I think my prequel prediction is going to be that the biggest complaint about the movie is that Timmy Wonka is not close enough to the Gene Wonka I think some people will want. I don't think this will be necessarily popular opinion, but I think if people are going to have like the one critique people are willing to let go, or like this is the one thing people hold on to, I feel like someone might get pissed about that.
I could see that. You know what? I'm going to actually make a derivative thing for you.
Love it.
I think there's going to be a subset of people who are really upset with how lighthearted the film is. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep.
And we'll have to see if that's valid or not when the movie comes out, because I think it depends on how they handle the Oompa Loompas. It's all dependent on that singular feature.
We haven't really super discussed it, but this movie, yes or no, is hinging on Hugo Loompa's shoulders.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be his problem to deal with.
Yeah, this should never have been an issue in the first place.
Never should have been an issue.
Never should have written about the Oompa Loompas.
No.
And there's so many fucked up problems with them. Just have them be weird people who are way too into Wonka's cult, But like, no, we had to bring slave labor into it. Cool, Roald Dahl. Thank you.
Thanks. I love that we get to deal with this all the time. I love that this got to be popular. People were like, that's fine. No.
Let me dress up as it for Halloween. Cool. But yeah, the way Hugo Loompa is treated will change a lot. It'll be interesting. I know they're definitely changing the narrative with Hugo Loompa, but I'm not sure in what way.
I have a lot of positive hopes.
I know.
I think this team can do it. This could be, honestly, and we will probably discuss this later because I'm sure we have to do like a Hugo Loompa-centric episode. Just I don't know. But I feel like of all the canon, this could be the one that could I feel like they could do it. They could pull it off and find a way for future canon to be like, this is how this should be done, and this is where we're taking the story moving forward.
Yeah, if anyone's going to do it, it's Paul King. So I feel okay.
Yeah.
I feel
like no pressure, Paul. Yeah. No pressure. Just the entire future of this entire huge canon relies.
You want that edible arrangement, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, you want that edible arrangement? Pineapple in a star shape? I'm just saying. Could be yours. Cantaloupe that'll immediately get too soggy. Hey, up to you.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Wonka Watch. It got kind of crazy near the end. Sorry about that. If you want to complain, you could email at wonkarapture@gmail.com. If you want to give us a tip for our incredible Batman impression, what are you doing? Are you doing like a little fish? What is that?
I'm doing like a little weird face puppet mouthing everything you say.
What the fuck?
This is when I can like see myself in the video, and I was like, that's a weird face I'm making. And I was like, what if I do it more extreme? And then I was like, what if I just follow what Felicia is saying, but I only like move my... It doesn't matter. Continue.
If you want to compensate me for my time on this podcast, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/WonkaWatch. If you want to follow us, you can do so on Instagram or TikTok at Wonka Watch.
I've never felt such passive-aggressive energy in a podcast.
I'm not a passive-aggressive person at all.
My bones are quivering.
I'm so spooky.
Hey, I need my armchair.
You need your armrest. Elaine has an armrest that comes completely off her chair, and she just completely pulls it off, and I always think it's zucchini every time she does.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's not supposed to do that. All the screws came out because all my screws are loose. And it's just really fun when I'm feeling passionate about something. I rip it off, and I start like, oh, get off my lawn kind of vibe. So I felt
Yeah, that's how I would describe it as fun.
Oh God! Oh,
I feel that way.
Be sure to follow. Did you say that?
Yeah, I did this already.
I kind of blacked out emotionally. WonkaRapture@gmail.com. Wonka Watch. Wonka Watch. Wonka Watch.
Yeah.
Sick. Hey. I love you.
I love you too. Willy Wonka's golden waxen wings. What's emblazoned on the back of his waxen wings like he's Icarus? Oh, it says it's not that important in big gold sparkly letters. That's crazy.
What is
But it's not that important. It's not that important.
It's not that important.
Hey, Mr. Jacob M. Held, it's not that important.
Jacob, go get a pack of gum and chew and think about what you done. Felicia, I just want to apologize for my fish face earlier. It was just really fun.
I want to apologize for my passive aggressiveness. It was really uncalled for.
It's okay. I know where you were coming from, and I also spent like 10 minutes impersonating you, and now I can just be really, really mean the next time I do it. So it's okay. We'll be even, and that's like not really healthy how to handle this, but we can just be like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, cool.
You know, you're a Ruby Tuesday's crouton to me.
You're the weird fried thingy to me.